All right, welcome to the Party Pals, GRC Mafia. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Right out the gate, we're here to break down barriers, foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future for everybody. Definitely a learning and growing environment. Now, during these sessions, we typically don't share the stage link, but I definitely want everybody to be encouraged to come up on stage if you would like to ask a question during the conversation or otherwise. Throughout the stream, certainly ask questions and share resources. One of the best places to put links, such as resources or your social media profile, is going to be inside of our Discord server. So if you join our Discord server, then you could head on over to our live chat channel, and then you could post links in there for your social media or resources that you'd like to share. Don't share anything that you don't want to be public. If you happen to do so, definitely reach out to me on Discord or contact me at contact@studygrc.org. Let's go ahead and progress here. How's everybody doing? Let's go. Tuesday Eve. Now, if you guys were not familiar with this, B-Dubs does put out an article every single Monday. There was another one that just released this morning, and then also doing a free $0 CISSP study group that is also beginner friendly. So even if you don't have the 5 years worth of experience required to obtain the certification, or even if you are, brand new and you just want to learn more about information security or otherwise, it's a really awesome series to go through and look at. You could definitely study a certification without actually taking that exam. Definitely check that out. That link is also in the chat as well, cissp.britwhite.io. And then we also have our website as well for the rest of the platforms that we have, along with our calendar and our resources page too. I'm doing some of the final touches on our new website, which I think is going to be way better. Maybe I'll go ahead and show you guys a preview here later before we bring this to an end. Let's see here. Go ahead and transition over. Bam. Yeah, we got 8-Bit popping in. We got Regine, Josh. Bam, GRC Mafia. Let's go. How was your guys this weekend? You guys ready for the week? I don't think it's waiting for you. But bam. All right, let's go. Let's see. I thought I had already pulled up this on my shared screen, but apparently not. Let's see. It's all right. So maybe today we'll go through something that we all should be familiar with, the YouTube terms of service, maybe. I don't think we've gone through a terms of service or terms of use or anything like that yet. All right. So one of the big things that I noticed on here is that this is still dated December 15th of 2023, which seems a little outdated to me personally, but it's believable still. I'm actually going to go through, and so that's just off of the Google search. I'm actually going to go to the YouTube page right now and double check that this is the most recent. All right, so yeah, even their website and so forth is also pushing to this too. So this does appear to be the most recent for YouTube for their terms of service. So I'm going to go ahead and skim through this throughout this session, And then I'll probably show maybe a preview of our upcoming website because it's pretty exciting. If you guys have any questions or otherwise, definitely drop that in chat. I think this is a really good example as well. There's a couple other kind of interesting. I'll pull these up real quick too before we get started. So there's a couple really cool projects that were out there. It seems like these may not be, really active right now or otherwise. Definitely if you guys prefer dark mode, be prepared for light mode. And I'll drop both of these in chat. But so there's this project here called Awesome Privacy, which is a list of free open source and privacy respecting services and alternatives to private services. One thing that I wanted to mention about this is that they're going through and they're putting a grade to this. And this is also the other one that I wanted to show is the terms of service didn't read. And this is a really interesting project as well. Since we're going to be going through the terms of service, I figured, this is a really good resource to share with you guys. And this is a pretty big archive. They go through and they highlight a lot of the different potentially concerning items that are inside of terms of service or otherwise that you agree to when you utilize or sign up for a service. And they make it really easy, or at least easier to go through and, figure that out. Let me go ahead and throw this in chat. Definitely give that a look. And let's see if they have YouTube here. So it's telling me that YouTube, oh boy, yeah. Yeah, and like this project started back in June of 2012. Really awesome. And it looks like it's definitely been continuing as well. So some of the different highlights that they mention is the service. This service can view your browser history. Deleted videos are not really deleted. Third-party cookies and used for advertising. The service gathers information through third parties. Reduction of legal period or cause of action. Use service. This service may use your personal information for marketing purposes. It can license your user content to third parties. Information is gathered about you through third parties. You're tracked through web beacons and so forth. So there's definitely more here. I did drop the link to this if you guys want to check it out. But definitely on the policy standpoint, I find this interesting, not only from a user standpoint, but from a company standpoint on what they throw in here. Like I said, I am kind of surprised that the terms of service is still dated to December 15th of 23, but maybe they got it, all good to go and they're comfortable with it now. Josh mentions April is blurring into the past. Yeah, it is. It is. This year is already nearly halfway over, it seems, and it's definitely flying by. Welcome to the Party Pal, Age and Albright. Robin's hopping in. Welcome to the Party Pal, and Cam as well. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. Welcome to Tuesday Eve. Let's go. Let me go ahead and pull that down. All right. So thank you for using the YouTube platform and its services. All right. So everything for YouTube itself, our service, the service allows you to discover, watch, and share videos and other user content. We provide lots of information about our products and how to use them in our help center. You can find out more about them with the YouTube Kids, YouTube Partner Program, and YouTube paid memberships and purchases where available. You can also read all about enjoying our content on other devices like your television, game console, or home or Google Home. Your service provider, the entity providing the services, is Google LLC, a company operating under the laws of Delaware, located at Mountain View, California. And I find that interesting as well. I've heard about that before, that you could register an LLC within the state of Delaware without actually being a resident, which is a unique thing in most states. So honestly, I'm kind of surprised it doesn't just say Ireland or something, but who knows? They have, dozens of legal teams, I'm sure. Applicable terms. So use your use of the service is subject to these terms: the YouTube community guidelines and the policy, safety, and copyright policies, which may be updated from time to time. Together, this agreement, your agreement with us, will also include the advertising on YouTube policies. If you are advertising or sponsoring to the service or incorporate paid promotions in your content, any other links or references provided in these terms are for informal use only. Yeah, that's a good idea for me to share this in chat for you as well. Who may use the service? You must be at least 13 years of age. However, children of all ages may still use the service, and YouTube Kids where available if enabled by a parent or legal guardian. And see, like, they go through and they provide some scope and then also definitions off the bat, I see. They do also have this top section here too to mention what's in these terms, and they have the split up. So welcome to YouTube, who may use the service, your use of the service, your content and conduct, count suspensions and termination about service, software in the service, and so forth. Legal terms about this agreement. All right, so let me find this section again. So 13 years of age or older, unless enabled by a parent or legal guardian. Permission by parent or legal guardian. Businesses, if you are using the service on behalf of a company or organization, you represent that you have authority to act on behalf of that entity, and that such entity accepts this agreement. Use of your use of the service, content on the service. The content of the service includes videos, audio, for example, music and other sounds, graphics, photos, text, such as comments and scripts, branding, that includes trademarks, trade names, service marks, or logos, interactive features, software metrics, and other material, whether provided by you, YouTube, or a third party, collectively content. Content is the responsibility of the person or entity that provides it to the service. YouTube is under no obligation to host or serve content. If you see any content you believe does not comply with this agreement, including by violating our community guidelines or by law, you can report it to us. I'm waiting for the, unlimited lifetime licensing to utilize the content. I haven't seen it yet. Google accounts and YouTube channels. You can use part of the service, such as browsing and searching for content, without having a Google account. However, you do need a Google account to use some features. With a Google account, you may be able to like videos, subscribe to channels, create your own YouTube channel, and more. You can follow these instructions. Creating a YouTube channel will give you access to additional features and functions, such as uploading videos, making comments, or creating playlists where available. To protect your Google account, keep your password confidential. You should reuse your Google account password on third-party applications. You should not reuse your Google account password on third-party applications. So they're warning you not to do password reuse. Learn more about keeping your Google account secure. Your information, our privacy policy, explains how we treat your personal data and protect your privacy when you use this service. And then they have a separate privacy policy for the YouTube Kids. We will process any audio or audio-visual content uploaded by you to the service in accordance with our YouTube data processing terms except in cases where you uploaded such content for personal purposes or household activities. And then they have another section to learn more about that. Permissions and restrictions. I think this is when we're really going to get into the meat of it, maybe. You may access and use the service as made available to you as long as you comply with this agreement and applicable law. You may view or listen to content for your personal, non-commercial use. You may also show YouTube videos through the embed YouTube player. The following restrictions apply to your use of the service. You are not allowed to access, reproduce, download, distribute, transmit, broadcast, display, sell, license, alter, modify, or otherwise use any part of the service or any content except as expressly authorized by the service or with prior written permission from YouTube and, if applicable, the respective rights owner. You're also not allowed to circumvent, disable, fraudulently engage with, or otherwise interfere with any part of the service or attempt to do any of these things, including security-related features or features that may prevent or restrict the copying of other use of content or limit the use of service or content. Number 3 here, so access the service using any automated means such as robots, botnets, or scrapers, except in the case of public search engines, in accordance with YouTube's robots.txt file or with YouTube's prior written permission. So that's an interesting statement there too. You know, you're not allowed to go through with, scraping data and so forth, which makes sense for sure. I know that Google does provide an API for doing a lot of different stuff that, you may want with that. So collect or harvest any information that might identify a person, for example, usernames or faces, unless permitted by that person or allowed under Section 3 above. So you're not allowed to collect or harvest any information that might identify a person. That's interesting. Use the service to distribute unsolicited promotional or commercial content or otherwise unwanted or mass solicitations. Cause or engage any inaccurate measures of genuine user engagement with service, including by paying people or providing them with incentives to increase videos' views, likes, or dislikes, or to increase a channel's subscribers or otherwise metrics in any manner. I do know that on the creator side and so forth, that there are definitely restrictions on how you state, if you guys like to see this content, so forth, hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. This is clearly stating that, not to go through and, pay people to do so or incentivize. I kind of view that as a form of being incentivized, though. Kind of interesting. I'm sure they go into much more detail on the creators' terms of service. Misuse or any reporting, flagging, complaint, dispute, or appeals process, including by making groundless accusations or frivolous submissions. Run contests on or through the service that do not comply with YouTube's contest policies and guidelines. Use the service to view or listen to content other than for personal or non-commercial use. For example, you may not publicly screen videos or stream music from the service. So that's kind of interesting too. So, maybe you shouldn't be utilizing YouTube for business purposes or otherwise, it looks like. So you're not allowed to view or listen to content other than for personal and non-commercial use. Use the service or sell any advertising, sponsorships, or promotions placed on, around, or within the service or content other than those allowed in the advertising on YouTube policies, such as compliant product placements, compliant product placements, or sell advertising sponsorships or promotions on any page of any website or application that only contains content from the service, or where content from the service is the primary basis for such sales. For example, selling ads on a web page where YouTube videos are the main draw for users visiting the web page. Reservations. Using the service does not give you ownership of or rights to any aspect of the service, including usernames or any other content posted by others on YouTube. Develop, improve, and update the service. YouTube is constantly changing and improving the service as part of the continual evolution. We may make modifications or changes, such as adding or removing features and functionalities. All right. That seems pretty boilerplate there. When the service requires or includes downloadable software, such as the YouTube Studio application, that software may update automatically on your device once a new version or feature is available, subject to your device settings. If we make material changes that negatively impact your use of the service, we'll provide you with reasonable advance notice, except in urgent situations such as preventing abuse, responding to legal requirements, or addressing security and operability issues. We also provide you with an opportunity to export your content from your Google account using Google Takeout, subject to applicable laws and policies. That's kind of interesting. So if they make significant changes that negatively impact your use of the service, I mean, they do provide ways out on their part and so forth, but I find it interesting that they'd even put that in there in the first place. Oh, look at PBO popping in. PBO should be going live tomorrow, I do believe, right? You got your video scheduled out, PBO? So Tuesday 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I believe PBO was talking about some type of framework or something along those lines for the car industry or something. I do not remember the name of it offhand, but I'm sure PBO does, if that's still what he's doing. Your content and conduct. Uploading content. If you have a YouTube channel, you may be able to upload content to the service. You may use your content to promote your business or artistic enterprise. If you choose to upload content, you must not submit it to the service or any content that does not comply with this agreement, including the YouTube community guidelines or the law. For example, the content you submit must not include third-party intellectual property, IP, such as copyrighted material, unless you have permission from that party or otherwise legally entitled to do so. You are legally responsible for the content you submit to the service. We may use automated systems that analyze your content to help detect infringement and abuse, such as spam, malware, and illegal content. Rights you grant. You retain ownership rights of your content. However, we do require you grant certain rights to YouTube and other users of the service as described below. So, license to YouTube. By providing content to the service, you grant YouTube worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, sub-licensable, and transferable license to use that content, including to reproduce, distribute, prepare derivative works, display, and perform it. In connection with the service and YouTube's business, including for the purpose of promoting and redistributing parts of all of the service. Yeah, so they have all of those rights for the service and YouTube's business, including for the purpose of promoting and redistributing parts of the service. And so that is definitely pretty broad, but that's kind of what I figured we would end up seeing in here. This is very similar to what like me and PBO saw with Atlassian, the creators of Trello. So we did go through and PBO showcased we both went through the policies for that, and like PBO was pointing out like a lot of the different key areas of concern. One of which was something very similar to this, where they have worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, sub-licensable, transferable license to use that content. Oh, look at that. Yep, PBO's got the video scheduled. Bam. PBO's on top of it. More than 24 hours ahead of time. Now moving forward here, so license to other users. You may also grant each other user of the service a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free license to access your content through the service and to use that content, including to reproduce, distribute, prepare derivative works, display, and perform it only as enabled by a feature of the service, such as video playback or embeds. For clarity, this license does not grant any rights or permissions for a user to make use of the content independently of the service. Period of the license. So licenses grant you the licenses granted by you continue for a commercially reasonable period of time after you remove or delete your content from the service. You understand and agree, however, that YouTube may retain but not display, distribute, or perform server copies of your videos that have been removed or deleted. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what the definition of commercially responsible period of time. That's a very interesting phrase to use, rather than saying something along the lines of like, oh, within 60 days of you deleting your content, we wipe it from our systems or otherwise. They've decided to opt for commercially reasonable period. I mean, again, it does make sense because it is Google, and so, who knows? But they do also show here that you also understand and agree, however, that YouTube may retain but not display, distribute, or perform server copies of your videos that have been removed or deleted. I wonder how that conflicts, like if you were to delete your Google account or you actually request for your data to be removed, especially under some type of GDPR or otherwise. I wonder how, that affects this particular section. Which it looks like there is another section below here that is going to dig a little bit more into that. So a right to monetize, you grant to YouTube the right to monetize your content on the service, such monetization may include displaying ads or within content or charging users a fee for access. This agreement does not entitle you to any payments. Starting November 18th of 2020, any payments you may be entitled to receive from YouTube under any other agreements between you and YouTube will be treated as royalties. If required by law, Google will withhold taxes from such payments. Removing your content. You may remove your content from the service at any time. You may also have the option to make a copy of your own content before removing it. You must remove your content if you no longer have the rights required by these terms. Removal of content by YouTube. If any of your content is in breach of this agreement or may cause harm to YouTube, our users, or third parties, we reserve the right to remove or take down some or all of such content in our discretion. We will notify you with the reason for our actions unless we reasonably believe that to do so would breach the law or the direction of legal enforcement authority or otherwise. So they do have quite the wording here. I mean, that also makes sense as well. That is slightly concerning to me personally, just because they do have that kind of broad as well. But again, from a terms of service standpoint, terms of service, terms of use, this is pretty thorough. So this is probably why they haven't updated it since December of 23. Community guideline strikes. YouTube operates a system of strikes in respect to content that violates the YouTube community guidelines. And they do have a lot of links outbound as well to the rest of these policies and agreements and so forth as well. Each strike comes with varying restrictions and may result in permanent removal of your channel from YouTube. A full description of how a strike affects your channel is available at If your channel has been restricted due to a strike, you must not use that channel to circumvent these restrictions. Violation of this prohibit. Oh gosh, I can't even pronounce that right now. Is a material breach of this agreement, and Google reserves the right to terminate your Google account or your access to all or part of the service. Copyright protections. We provide information to help copyright holders manage their intellectual property online in our YouTube Copyright Center. You can also send us a notice. We responded notices of alleged copyright infringement according to these processes in our YouTube Copyright Center, where you can also find information about how to resolve a copyright strike. Account suspensions and termination. Terminations by you. You may stop using the service at any time. Terminations and suspensions by YouTube. YouTube reserves the right to suspend or terminate your Google account or your access on all or part of the service. Notice of termination and suspension. Effect of account suspension or termination. And so one of the key things that I'm noticing here is that, especially if you're running something, some type of service where you have user accounts and you're providing some type of service, especially free, definitely outlining these other policies and guidelines that coincide. And then also talking about like the account suspensions and termination, removal, maybe even registration, which it does mention at the beginning is when you register, you're agreeing to this. And your use of the service, you're agreeing to this. They're also outlining, they have the right to utilize your content and so forth that you provide. And then also they still have the right over their platform on how they pretty much manage that. The users can submit content, but that doesn't provide them the right to have it on the platform. And also provides the ability for YouTube to utilize and distribute and otherwise use the content provided as well, even to third party, which I found interesting. The right to monetize, removing your content. Okay, so we were just getting down to about software in the service. So downloadable software, when the service requires or includes downloadable software such as YouTube Studio application, unless the software is governed by additional terms which provide a license, YouTube gives you a personal, worldwide, royalty-free, non-assignable, and non-exclusive license to use the software provided to you by YouTube as part of the service. All right. You are not allowed to copy, modify, distribute, sell, or lease any part of the software, or to reverse engineer or attempt to extract the source code of that software, unless laws prohibit these restrictions or you have YouTube's written permission. Some software used in our service may be offered under an open source license that we make available to you. There may be provisions in an open source license that explicitly override some of these terms, so be sure to read those licenses. And then now it has a section here as well for other legal terms. So a warranty disclaimer, YouTube does not make any commitments or warranties about the service. A limitation of liability, so except as required by applicable law. YouTube, its affiliates, officers, directors, employees, and agents will not be responsible for any loss of profits, revenues, business opportunities, goodwill, or anticipated savings, loss or corruption of data, indirect or consequential loss, and primitive damages caused by. And then they list out all of these different possibilities of adverse effects and how this is their limitation of liability. And it applies to any claims regardless of whether the claim asserted is based on warranty, contract, tort, or any other legal theory. YouTube and its affiliates' total liability for any claims arising or relating to service is limited to the greater of the amount of revenue that YouTube has paid to you from your use of the service in the last 12 months before the date of your notice in writing to YouTube of the claim, and USD $500. That's interesting. That's an interesting last statement right there regarding $500, and then also total liabilities for any claims arising from or relating to the service is limited to the greater of either the amount of revenue that YouTube paid to you in the last 12 months or your use of the service. That also makes me think that maybe they do keep track of like how much money they make off of each typical user account as well. Yeah, thanks for popping in, Space Tacos. I could definitely see this being kind of dual for sure, but if you guys do have questions or otherwise, definitely drop it in chat. Or if you guys have anything else to add as well. We're almost done with this policy in particular for this terms of use or agreement, really. And really, it's just, it gives us more to think about. And it also applies to us as well, because each and every single one of us are using YouTube. So I do find it kind of interesting. This is one of the smaller agreements, but some of the different wording is fascinating. So it's just like their limitation of liability is definitely pretty thorough. I could definitely see utilizing that as some type of reference to some extent, brainstorming or otherwise. About this agreement, changing this agreement, we may change the agreement, for example, to reflect changes. Okay. If we materially change this agreement, we'll provide you with reasonable advance notice and the opportunity to review the changes, except when we launch a new product or feature or in urgent situations such as preventing ongoing abuse or responding to legal requirements. If you do not agree to the new terms, you should remove your content you uploaded and stop using the service. Continuation of the agreement, if you use this, if your use of the service ends, the following terms of this agreement will continue to apply to you. Severance, if it turns out that a particular term of this agreement is not enforceable for any reason, this will not affect any other terms. No waiver, if you fail to comply with this agreement and we do not take immediate action, this does not mean that we are giving up any rights that we may have, such as the right to take action in the future. And see, this is some of the interesting stuff to see is that, they have a severance section. They also have a no waiver section here as well, very short to the point, and it makes a lot of sense on why you would want to include that as well. In these terms, include or including means including but not limited to, and any examples we give are for oh my gosh, I can't even talk today. Jeez. All right, governing law. All claims arising out of or relating to these terms of service will be governed by California law, except California's conflict of laws rules. So I find that interesting that Google LLC is registered out of Delaware, but they are governing or utilizing the California law, except California's conflict of laws rule, and will be litigated exclusively in the federal or state courts of Santa Clara County, California. You and YouTube consent to personal jurisdiction in those courts. Limitation of legal action. You and YouTube agree that any cause of action arising out or related to the services must commence within 1 year after the cause of action accrues. Otherwise, it must be permanently barred. So that is the YouTube terms of use, terms of service here. Bam. And then I'm going to go ahead and swap back over to this resource real quick as well, and we'll probably start bringing it to an end. I wanted to, I think that was a interesting agreement to go over. And then it gives us some different highlights. And I just dropped that in chat. And actually, I'll go ahead and swap back over to this real quick. And so I'm just going to skim back over from the bottom, point out some of the interesting parts. I had mentioned the severance section that I find really interesting on the fact that, if any part of the agreement is not enforceable for some reason, it does not mean that the other terms are not enforceable. No waiver as well is a really good addition. If you fail to comply with this agreement and do not take immediate action, it does not mean that they're giving up their rights. They even go through down here as well and mention in these terms include or including means including but not limited to, and any examples we give are for illustrative purposes. So that's a really good example as well. A really good section that I see. Limitation of liability, they definitely go through and they cover themselves there. That's, I mean, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney, and definitely want to make it clear that I never will be or otherwise. Definitely not providing any sort of legal advice. But I do find this interesting just from a policies, agreements, guidelines standpoint. I do feel like the majority of this is easily understandable. Although they do go through with paragraphs, I would like to see it a little bit more straightforward. But of course, this is more of a legal document as an agreement, and therefore, it definitely acts as such with these paragraphs in here. They could go through and they could put these into lists though. Even if they did A, B, C, D, in a list, that would make it a little bit easier to read. But yeah, and they cover the account suspension, account use, their guidelines and other related policies out of here or agreements. Your license to YouTube, your rights, their rights. It's pretty extensive. And so I wanted to just come back over to here for a moment and showcase this. So I'm going to go back to the home page here. And so terms of service didn't read. I've read and agreed to these terms is the biggest lie in the web. Together we can fix that. And so you can search through a service. This, I do believe, is through GitHub of some sort. Or maybe they have their own service here. But you can go through and contribute to this as well. So it's a project that started in 2012. Some of the different people who have contributed and some of the team members here as well. Quite a growing list, to be honest with you. And I'm going to pull open the GitHub. Okay, so yeah, they do have a GitHub for this. I'm not sure exactly which repo you're supposed to go through and edit out, but it is some type of, there are methods to contribute. One of the key things I wanted to mention though is just the services. And so it is ever growing. I've noticed that they are still going through and adding to this. And at least before they were able to go through and you were able to submit a service as well to be reviewed. And they even have this fancy filter here too, which is different than what I believe was on here a year ago. So definitely something interesting. There is another one that I saw similar to this. And so this is terms of service, but I did come across another one that was like privacy policies or otherwise as well. It would be interesting to see services kind of combine and put a lot of the stuff together. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this link one more time. PBO mentions big boy terms. Yeah. Especially when looking over like these big companies and so forth, terms of service and agreements and everything else. Yeah. Definitely big boy terms. I find it interesting though on a lot of the wording, and every single user of YouTube agrees to that just by utilizing the service. So yeah, definitely an interesting agreement. But yeah, drop your questions and so forth, especially into Discord outside of our live streams. Tomorrow we'll be back again. If you guys have recommendations or otherwise, definitely drop those in Discord. You can also go through our contact form on our website, studygrc.org. And I'll go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek here because I said I would. I'm kind of excited about this. There's still more work to do on this new web page. I'm going to probably get the logo in here and so forth. But this is kind of cool. So I did say I was going to show you guys. So I just wanted to put together a cleaner web page, preferably a one page that kind of showcases everything together. Yeah, exactly. PBO mentions that wording has been vetted by legal. Yeah, probably multiple levels of legal teams and over many years nonetheless. But so this is what I'm looking at for the new Study GRC website. I'm probably going to go through and change out the logo up in the top just for the branding and so forth. But it is definitely a dark mode with a gray format. We got our links and so forth here. We're going to have our about and our video over here. We have an entire category of previous presenters as well that you can also click on the link and watch their videos for their presentations. And then we also have an embedded custom calendar here as well, which allows you to hover over, and it's also mobile friendly. So you can also tap on a particular day and it showcases the links that are available for that. I feel it's pretty straightforward and easy to use. And it also looks a hell of a lot better than the embedded Google Calendar. It still pulls from our Google Calendar. It just, it has its own interface now. And then also down here, we'll have a resources section, a resources page, which we already started on, that will open out to, and then also a templates category. So like we had talked about is these drafts that we've developed. I definitely want to, start some type of community-driven templates catalog. So we can have different spreadsheets, privacy policies, other policies, standards, procedures, guidelines that we could make templates for along the way, and anybody can contribute to that and publish that out on the templates, which I think I have the page for that mostly ready to go as well. The team, of course, and then also the contact. So it's a one page, pretty clean and so forth. I think it just is a lot cleaner than what we have right now. And then let me double check. I believe this templates thing is pretty neat too. The templates page is not going to be released right off the bat. Oh yeah, it's all broken anyways. Yeah. But just wanted to give you guys a preview of this. So, bam. Am I/B-dubs off this week? What do you mean? Me or B-dubs off this week? So B-dubs has made it public on the fact that she is exiting her full-time job and so forth, and doing her stuff as well. I believe she did a blog article related to that last week and so forth. But this is the last week we'll be streaming 5 days a week. So starting next week is when we'll start 3 days a week or otherwise. I don't take weeks off, PBO. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in Discord outside of the live streams and so forth. And I'll also see you guys back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday Eve, and catch you guys later, GRC Mafia. Thank you guys for hopping in.